We have two clear front runners on the grid, one driver who didn't make it through the reconnaissance lap, and a four-time world champion who kept things interesting throughout the entire race. All that and next on the No Regulations Pod. All right, what a race. What a fun race. I had a ton of fun. To be honest, I was like almost sleeping prior to the race start. I had to like keep sitting myself up on the couch, shaking things off, like doing like eye rubs, all that stuff, trying to get ready. And as soon as we hit lights out, I was wide awake and felt great, which was awesome. I needed a jolt, and thankfully, the race start provided us with a little bit of excitement that gave me an hour and 45 minutes of energy. Thank God, because it was struggling.
Yeah,
at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday after a long week.
This weekend has been late nights, Friday night, Saturday night.
Yep, absolutely. We didn't touch much. We didn't do any pods prior to starting. Prior to the race. So just touching on FP1, FP2, FP3, and then we'll go into qualifying a little bit. FP1, a good showing for Ferrari. They showed up, and I think they excited a lot of people about their potential. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, them going 1-2, obviously with whatever fuel load they're using or what they were doing, but yeah, to come out 1-2 is a little surprising, but I mean, not surprising to everybody, but that Mercedes wasn't right there at the top either. Maybe they were doing something else, but yeah, having them 1-2 is kind of fun. Adds a little excitement about who's gonna come out in qualifying and in the race. So it wasn't it looked like it might have been Ferrari who was the fastest, and just pulling away. But then obviously you get through the other practicing, everybody kind of levels out.
Yeah. We had a few interesting things. We had this narrative that Mercedes was just going to absolutely run away with it. So prior to the race, knowing what we know now, obviously things are a little bit different, but prior to the race, we thought that seeing Ferrari 1-2 was this like holy cow moment of this might actually be a season, at least between a couple teams, which is what you want for an interesting season. And then also, I can't remember if it was FP1 or FP2 when we all got to see Ferrari take off from the grid and do a real practice start. And again, seeing what we saw yesterday, there's some truth behind that. And what they've accomplished with getting off the line. It's been quite incredible. They take off like a freaking rocket ship, which is cool and fun and gives you a little bit of hope that you get a shakeup on the first lap of any race. So I think that was great. Things changed a little bit going into FP2 and getting some results from FP2. We had Oscar coming out on top, and Mercedes and Ferrari following behind. So, I think as far as FP1 went, I think most people that are racing fans and looking into it realize that everybody has a little bit of a different strategy on how they go through the weekend, especially the first weekend. Mercedes could have been running, some long stints, trying to get timing down for race pace, all of that kind of stuff, which is critical in learning what your car is going to do on Sunday, or for us Saturday night at 11:30 at night.
That made me think a little bit about how if I were driving, how I would want to go out on a weekend like that, and it would be FP1 to load up the fuel so you feel the car heavy, because you don't want to go out there on qualifying stints and feel just like it's a rocket ship, and then you put some gas in it and it's just like a toad. Like, I would almost rather, I think maybe that's what they did, is they did the long stints early and then went to the, started taking some fuel out, and then you really feel what the car has when it's light. So
yeah, I totally agree. I'd love to, when we talk about Drive to Survive and what these different documentaries offer, as kind of more a true racing fan than just somebody who wants to watch the drama. I would love a little bit more insight on those kind of things, on what they're doing. And it's probably proprietary information. They probably don't want to give too much away, but even I'm a big F1 game fan. I race a lot, as do you. We race together. And you go through those practice weekends when you're doing the career, and they have you do different things at different times, and tire wear and qualifying practice and all that stuff, which is a lot of fun. But I'd love a little bit more insight on what they do and what time they try different stints and different things to check all of that stuff, which maybe we can find somewhere to look into that. Yeah, moving on to FP3, George topping the leaderboard, Ferrari, Oscar behind. I think that really gave us all a true sense of what the weekend might look like. And again, a little foreshadowing. It's kind of what the race looked like. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. That's kind of where everything shook out. An interesting qualifying, to say the least. Especially for Max Verstappen and Red Bull fans. Big crash in Q1. Everything's coming out saying it's a software issue, which I do fully believe. His tires they locked in the back. Not much he can do about it. Glad he was okay. Came out shaking his hands a little bit from that crash. I'm not really sure why he held onto the steering wheel the entire time going into the wall, especially when you're going to go into the wall. Maybe he thought there was a chance that he was going to be able to stop before. He didn't hit the wall that hard. I'm not even sure if he broke his axle and all that on his front wheel. It looked like the front wing was completely torn up, but maybe there was a thought there that he could recover and try to get out of that gravel to come back around, get a new wing on, and get one lap in. I want to say the time was around 7-8 minutes, somewhere in there, that he came out for his first lap. Again, don't know the reasoning behind that, but I do think that's where we'll have a little bit of trouble this year with a lot of these different software, electrical components that these cars use. It's going to come into play.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where it's just going to be a wild card every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not very, doesn't give the drivers much confidence when that can happen at any given time. And I don't think the crashes by Oscar and Kimi were really about the electrical or software, but I think it's like something that they're going to have to get used to. And maybe it's a snap. Maybe it's just the torque is different than, what they're used to. So, but we'll get into the Kimi and Oscar thing.
Yeah, good qualifying session for a lot of the crew. We again kind of expected who was going to be up at the top. Really, really happy with Hadjar. He put some really good times on the board. It's really nice to see a Red Bull driver who is getting up into the top 5, top 6 pretty consistently and helping out Max. I think that's going to be huge with constructor implications, driver championship as well. Again, as we touched on, what it was last week or a couple weeks ago, if Max had an ounce of help from Yuki last year, he would have been able to do something. He lost by 2 points. So anytime a second driver can take away a few of those points and get into the mix is always a good thing for the team. I think it was a fun qualifying. There's always that in the back of your mind when something happens, especially to kind of the top 5, 6 racers on the grid. When you look at Charles, Lewis, George, and somebody crashes out early, something happens, and they get to start from the back. You do expect to get a few fireworks, which is fun during the race, keeps you interesting. Max did well, so we can get into that a little bit with the race. Anything else on qualifying from you?
Big props to Kimi and the Mercedes team. They crashed under 10 minutes ago in FP3, car was just absolutely demolished. And you could see him frantically working on it at the beginning of qualifying. And then obviously Max crashes, gives him more time, get the red flag, everybody comes in. And then he goes out there and just puts out a banger lap and then finishes qualifying P2, which is, just a big, probably boost to Toto and that whole team, because probably shouldn't have even been there. And, it was one of those young mistakes, crashing in at that late in practice, knowing qualifying is a couple hours away. So,
yeah, with a healthy car, throughout the year, can Kimi take a few poles? I think he can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. Their car's so good, and yes, he is young. George will make mistakes, and I think that he'll be able to snag a few. I don't think it's going to be completely George's drivers' championship. I know it's very early, but if he can get in there and stick his nose in there for a couple of pole positions, depending on what Ferrari does off the line, they're going to be like that gnat at a barbecue. They're going to be there, and they're going to be there at the beginning of a race immediately, whether they're in the top 2 or top 3. So, but yeah, that'll be very interesting to see. Excellent. So one thing I did want to talk about prior to the race even starting, which was a little bit of a surprise. Especially, I didn't even turn the race on because I was watching some basketball before it started. So I knew we had an 11 o'clock start time. I think I turned it on at like 10:45 to watch a little bit of the pre-race while I was nodding off. But I didn't even realize until right at the beginning of the race, Oscar Piastri could not even make it through the reconnaissance lap. What happened?
He did the same thing that Kimi Antonelli did in practice, kind of went on the curb a little bit, and then when it jumps off that curb, there's like, I think these cars just have a lot of torque, maybe with the battery, and they're giving it gas, and then it just jumps just a little bit, and these cars are so snappy now. And same exact thing that happened to Kimi, Oscar does before the race even starts. And that was my pick, obviously, to win the Drivers' Championship. So not a good start for my predictions.
Not a great start. I feel super bad. Home Grand Prix. An Australian-born driver has not won in years or ever. I can't remember the exact stat at the Australian Grand Prix, but everybody was hoping there was something there. Not sure he had the car to do it in the first place, but
I mean, you start
definitely not
going
to happen. You got to start right. You got to start the race if you're even going to have a shot. So poor Oscar, tough look. He'll come back.
That's got to just be devastating. At your home track, you're wanting to come out, make a big statement, go for the Drivers' Championship, and kind of a rookie mistake. And you look at it though, like Kimi did it, Max did it. There's going to be these wild cards where they just something happens and they snap out of the race.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's. I did see the clip of the actual incident, and then I saw him walking away, and I mean, it was just, you could just tell just from his walk, he was like, "What the hell? What just happened?" And like Kimi crashed, they had enough time to repair the car, and then they had a full day before the race to make sure everything was copacetic and happy, and that the car was going to run as it did. And
all the duct tape was still there.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, a little bit of duct tape. Sure. I'm sure there's been duct tape on a car in the last couple of years somewhere.
They got 200-mile-an-hour duct tape.
Yeah, a little speed tape.
Yeah.
Stuff they use on airplanes. But yeah, I feel bad for Oscar. But he'll get back into it. He's fine. He's a great racer. Just a stupid mistake for first race of the year. Probably had a little first race jitters too. The difference, though, between him and Kimmy and then Max is they say Max was a software failure, not driver error. So that those two different things. Now you have multiple things that can happen, whether it's software, whether it's just learning this car, like you said, with the battery and this electric motor that puts out just as much energy as the power unit. So it's it'll be very interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that it'll just come with time. I mean, last year, I don't know if you remember, it was like the rain race, and something similar was kind of happening then, where they were having like a torque delay, and Carlos Sainz just biffed it into the wall because he was just like warming up, and it was like you gave it a little gas, but then it would like keep going. So I don't know if it's something with that kind of same um, trend line or with the torque. But yeah, Kimmy kind of doing the same thing that Oscar did. It just seems like something's a little snappy there with the drive system.
Well,
Get to the
on to
race.
the race. Wow, it was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Way better than I expected. Um, I just, I'm very happy. Again, we heard this talk about super clipping and battery and all that throughout the entire races, which is going to get old after a while. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's it is. So that's what we're going to hear about and what people are going to talk about. But yeah, absolutely great finish. Just to run down the leaderboard here, top 10, we had George Russell coming in first, Kimi Antonelli coming in second. Big weekend for Mercedes. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton coming in third and fourth, Lando Norris coming in fifth, Max Verstappen starting from 20th coming in sixth, Oliver Behrman, great weekend for Ollie, coming in seventh, Arvid Lindblad, wow, excellent inaugural race.
He looked great.
Very, very happy with his production, as I'm sure the team was. And then coming in ninth and 10th, Gabriel Bortoletto and Pierre Gasly, which good showing for Audi as a new team, a new team. Little different than Cadillac being a brand new team coming into an established team and having some sort of awareness in Formula One as opposed to coming in with a new team. But just a great showing for Audi to get out there and score points on their first race. Yeah, good weekend overall. Your thoughts on the beginning of the race?
Yeah, it was exciting. One of the notes that I had after the practices was that the battery and what we thought would make the race uneventful or maybe boring. I had a note that the battery usage, maybe that it gets drained so fast, will actually make the racing a little bit better because there'll be more strategy on when to deploy it, when to harvest it, and you really saw that like take shape early on in the race. Like these guys, that was one of the mentions that I said was that it might be like a go-kart race, and that's kind of what it was. It was like some big yo-yos, like guys coming and going, and when they wanted to get after it, they could get after it and attack guys, but then they use all their battery, and the guy they just attacked still has some battery, and he just takes it right back. So it was a lot of that that battery usage that I thought after practice might actually be a good thing in the race, and it turned out to kind of make that first half of the race just absolutely entertaining.
Yeah, between figuring out when to use the battery, this new active aero system, which I'm sure is going to take a minute to kind of figure out what that does for you, when that does for you, and what that's like behind another car with that active, and it's gonna make for at least a first few fun races until everybody kind of figures it out.
Sounds
I
like they might.
as well.
Yeah, sounds like they might have to do some changing because I think it was George after the race was saying that, even when you're the lead car or you're the car behind, like you get that active arrow, you lose kind of your front end a little bit. So they're pushing more than they normally would. And obviously it's not just down like the long straightaways. It's kind of, there's a lot of active zones. So they'll have to that's just another strategy for him to kind of get into this car with the battery.
Yeah, yeah, and you could see it too when George and Charles were out front, back and forth, back and forth. Lewis backed off a little bit after he caught up, but then there were times when he was right on either of their asses and sticking with them. But then he would drop back a little bit, and that could be tire management. That could be a lot of different things. Getting out of the dirty air, knowing that maybe you're not going to pass at that time. So sit 3 or 4 seconds back and let those tires cool down a little bit, making sure you're getting good airflow to the engine. All of those things could come into play at that point. But it definitely, like you said, that yo-yo effect of like coming up and then coming back and coming up and coming back throughout the entire beginning of the race until our first virtual safety car, where there's definitely some old Ferrari coming back to maybe haunt them. Not sure they made the right decision. Matter of fact, I'm sure they didn't make the right decision on what to do during that. Yes, you're in the lead. Yes, you're, what was it, 10 seconds in the lead. You have 2 cars, and Lewis said it best. Why did you not at least pit one of us? Pit one of us.
Just one of them, at least.
Keep Chuck out front and let Lewis pit and see what that does. I immediately did that head slap meme of, come on, man. What was the other thing you wanted to touch on?
Just the start of the race.
Yeah.
The very start, you could see Mercedes did not get off to a great jump. And then
especially Kimi.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of, you could kind of see it when they were taking off, even for the formation lap. They were just sitting there spinning their tires like nobody's getting a great start. And then all of a sudden, the start of the race, Ferrari just rocket ships out of there. And that is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be huge the rest of the season, because that track position is just so big. Like if you can just jump out to the lead, from 4th or 5th, they're going to be, even though they might be a little slower in the long run, they're just going to play the track position game and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be huge. There are races coming up on the calendar that leading the race is the race. Getting off and leading at the beginning of the race, first lap, that's the race. Somewhere like Monaco, you get off and you get out front. That's probably a win for you, barring any crazy mechanical or other issues. But
strategic team moves from Ferrari at Monaco.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. Maybe never say never.
Doesn't guarantee you a win.
Right. But that's part of the game is getting out front early on tracks that are difficult to pass. So we might see a different Formula One this year with a little bit more passing here and there as well, with the way that things are shaking out. So yeah, what were your I found the super clipping, which is this new buzzword that we've heard over the last couple weeks here. I found it not as unbearable as I thought it was going to be. It's kind of one of those things that if everybody's doing it, it really doesn't make too much difference. You saw it at the end of the first straight, and I guess I should call it a long stint because it's barely a straight in Australia. It has a couple little turns in there, but you'd see him drop 50 kilometers an hour damn near instantly, and the deployment of the battery was coming into play. You could use it at the right time. You could use it and get past your opponent. My question is, some of these tracks that have much longer straights, what's that going to look like? What's that going to look like at the top of, Eau Rouge at Spa when they're going through and you've got, forever to go and your battery's out?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, I don't like it. I think it's unbearable. I think these drivers are probably really upset about it. And it's one of those things where, yeah, everybody's has the same thing. So it kind of, but it's almost like you're hitting a rev limiter way too early. And then they're just slowing down so much at the end of the straights, and they're downshifting before they're even braking. It's like I bet for the drivers, it just feels like you're driving. I don't even know what to compare it to. There's no other racing where you have this, where it is like hitting a rev limiter, shifting down before you're braking into the corner.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun to watch. And it, like when you're on with the onboards, like it just does not seem like these guys would enjoy it. Like you want torque to the back tires as long as you can, and then you brake and you downshift. It's like these cars are like slowing down so much before the corners that they're just kind of weaving it through the corners. You know, they're not like hanging it out there.
We see incidents on track due to.
Yeah, they talked about that quite a bit. The speed differences. Yeah, the speed differences, if they didn't know where they were on their batteries, because they just slow down so much. Like you could see some of the times where they would just like dart out and then dart right back in front of the guy because he's going so much slower. It's not like a regular pass where they're just kind of getting up next to him, then going into the corner. It's like they're fully passing him and coming back on line and doing their normal line going into the corner because the guy they're passing is going so slow.
Do you remember a few years ago when George Russell was in a Williams, and I want to say it was at one of the Italian Grand Prix, and he hit Valtteri Bottas, or Valtteri was coming up behind him, and there was a significant speed difference, and they crashed into each other just because they each didn't really know that each other were going to run into each other. George went over and smacked Valtteri on the head.
That was when he went into the grass a little bit and then spun into Bottas.
Yeah, that sort of speed difference, and even amplified, is going to cause issues in my mind. Somebody's going to come into the back of somebody else going 40, 50 miles an hour or kilometers an hour faster than them, and it's good that they're quick on their toes and have good twitch muscle movement, because they're going to need to get out of the way quickly on some of these cars. I saw a short clip from yesterday where Carlos didn't race. Who was it? I can't remember who it was, but they were harvesting, and I thought their car was breaking down in the middle of the track. I thought they were losing engine power because they were going so slow trying to get that energy back into their battery that I legitimately thought they were breaking down. That's not fun to see. I hope we don't see too much of that. I hope they figure it out. Maybe a bigger battery, maybe more energy, so you don't run out of it so quickly. I mean, the China Strait is like miles long.
I was thinking about that. They're going to be downshifting like halfway through the backstretch.
Yeah.
And just
so
it's not going to be good.
Do you go and then you harvest and then you go again?
I think that's what you have to do. Or my idea would just be to harvest at the beginning part of the straight and then just deploy it in the back end of it. But maybe there's some kind of analytics that showed that coming out of the straight, using all the battery, going, and then basically harvesting at the end is faster. I bet they've probably tested that out, and they're doing the fastest thing that they can.
Yeah, and they're gonna run it. You're gonna see that run in practice. I guarantee it. You're gonna see that run in practice. They're gonna fill somebody up, and they're gonna say, "Go run 30 laps on your first 10. Deploy it immediately out of that big long corner, coming onto the straight. See what you can harvest, and then push to the end." Or come out of that corner and do not deploy anything until you hit the active arrow spot that you can open everything up, and deploy then. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild to see what they come up with. People are gonna run out of battery on that first corner coming out of the start the front straight. I mean,
Yeah.
that first loop around, they're gonna. I don't even know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, this whole battery thing and all of this is kind of fun for us as fans because it is a little bit chaotic and there is some strategy. But for the drivers, I bet it is like almost unbearable. Like I guarantee Max is like, I'm going to Le Mans next year. Like I'm not doing this stuff. I can't drive a car that just is decelerating at the end of the straightaway, and I'm having to downshift just to keep my speed up. Like
Right.
it's
It's not traditional by any means. It doesn't even seem Formula One traditional. I know they're innovative. I know that the goal of Formula One is to be the best of the best. I mean, look at the just the regular people auto industry and how much stuff they have taken from Formula One to upgrade cars and make them better. And we might be overstepping into what the goal of Formula One is. The goal of Formula One is to get around the track from start to start line, one lap as quickly as you possibly can, through the corners, through the straights. How fast can we get around this track? And they're just turning it into it's kind of a clown show. What do we do? When do we do this? How do we do this? Can we just focus on being the fastest car on the grid again, as opposed to how much battery we have at this corner and this corner, and when we deploy on the straights? You're talking Max Verstappen going to Le Mans. He's already said, I don't know how long I'm going to be in Formula One. There's a lot of other stuff to do out there. And now you're pushing, I think, probably the most highly regarded best driver in the game right now at 28 years old. You're making him consider, do I really want to do this or not? There's a lot of money in Formula One. He's already made a lot of money. He doesn't need any more money. That's not going to keep him around. What's going to keep him around is the love of the game and the love of the sport and driving. And they're going to start pushing people out. Obviously, these young drivers that they've brought in, they've got a long career ahead of them.
Yeah, they don't care. They will
care.
Drive whatever they need.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But this has happened in other racing. I don't want to bring NASCAR into this too much, but they did this a while back. They kind of did a bunch of regulation changes and kicked like Carl Edwards was one of the best drivers, and he just basically retired. He's like, this is not what I signed up for. A bunch of other guys left, and the racing was horrible for a long time. And I hope Formula One is not doing the same thing.
Right. And as somebody who has watched a lot of NASCAR in the past, did you see them? Did they eventually come around and change things back, or did they just continue on the course until things got better?
No, it got worse before it got better. But now it's back to more power, more. The downforce is a lot better, so the racing's a lot better, but it's still a little bit. And then I don't follow NASCAR like I used to, but it's gotten a lot better than it was. There was a while there where it was just boring, and you could just see like the back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, the stands were always full. It was fun, and then now it's like it was empty. It's kind of starting to come back because the racing is getting a lot better. But yeah, my wife's, dad watches a lot of NASCAR, so, we kind of follow up on it with them, but I just hope that they don't do the same thing with the regulations that they did over there.
Right. Yeah, I hope so too. It's, you need to listen to the drivers. You need to listen to the teams. You have to listen to the people that make you money in your sport. And right now, Formula One is at an all-time high with attendance, with viewers. You got Drive to Survive. All you're going to do is hurt the sport from here if you make drivers not want to race.
Especially the best drivers.
Especially the best drivers. Fernando Alonso, obviously, only got a few laps in yesterday. did what he could. You know, their car is just a mess, but he's 41, 42. Lewis is 40. You're going to get guys that just don't want to deal anymore. And these are the guys that have been with us for 25 years. We want to see them race. So we'll see what happens. But overall, as much as I didn't think it was going to be good, it kept my attention for sure for most of the race. And watching Max come up through was part of that. And he did it quickly. Watching the battle, it was fun. It was a lot of fun just to see him keep climbing. And then the swapping between Mercedes and Ferrari was fun to watch at the beginning. Man, that was some great racing, great driving by Charles and George. Kimi coming back from losing I think it was 5-6 positions at the beginning. Did he get all the way down to 7th at one point? And then came back through?
Yeah, I think it was about 7th. He just did not get off the line. And there was a lot of guys coming behind him that were screaming.
Yeah, quick.
The Ferraris were just boom out there.
Yeah, so it was fun to watch. The battle between Lando and Max at the end. Lando on mediums, Max on hards, coming in for a quick pit right at the end. Probably, from what I heard yesterday, the graining on the medium tire was a little bit worse than it was on the hard tire. Max immediately on the hard tire with probably 15 laps left to go, put in a fastest lap immediately, which told you they made the right decision. He came in, got the new tires, got right on Lando's ass, just couldn't pass. I think that's again down to just figuring out the car a little bit, figuring out where your spots are, how to follow these cars differently. Maybe Max went a little too aggressive right at the beginning, but that was fun to watch too. And I was hoping for a P5, which was kind of the simulated highest number that he could get with Ferrari and Mercedes being out front. So a P6, not bad to get all the way back up there.
Yeah. And if Hadjar wouldn't have gone out with the engine, Red Bull would have had probably a really good day. And even had Hadjar help Max get by Lando somehow. A little teamwork, but
sure. Did we learn what the issue was with Hadjar's car? I mean, it obviously looked engine. I didn't hear anything specifically.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on it this morning.
I did notice when he pulls off to the side, the car's smoking like crazy, and he's just chilling. I was like, dude, get out of the car. This thing's going to start.
You're on fire.
You're on fire.
Come on, Ricky.
Yeah.
Get out of the car.
But overall, good race. I commend George for getting out front. Another thing, once they got out front, and again, maybe it was tire management. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. They didn't pull away. They kind of sat at that. George was about 9 seconds ahead. Kimi was about 6 seconds ahead. And Ferrari kept up there. Lewis got right up to Charles at the end. And I think he finished 0.6 seconds behind him, so he was right there. I'm sure it comes down to management and wear and tear on the vehicle and all of that stuff. But it wasn't a 30-second gap, which is good to see. I would hate to see them go so far out in front that, once they're in clean air, they're untouchable. But it seems like, that anybody can kind of follow behind and get up there and stay within reach, at least a little bit, which is good.
Yep. Yeah, and Ferrari, so they kind of were in the mix early, and then obviously with a couple of those VRCs, they got caught out with some bad timing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were obviously right there with George, was in between them, so they don't have all the excuses. But they decide not to pit early. George comes in and then they kind of played the game of we would get another VRC or another safety car, and that never came. And then Ferrari has to pit, and they're stuck back there with their strategy again.
Right. Yeah. Ferrari and their strategy.
Pit one car. Just whoever's behind George, just follow him and stay with him.
Right.
You got a chance.
Right. Yeah. Lewis a little annoyed with the pit wall once again with their instruction. Yeah, on the first day, giving the pit wall a yep, I understand, just leave me to it. Maybe there is such thing as too much information coming through, especially when you're going 210 miles an hour around a racetrack. So hopefully they can shake things out. Classic Ferrari strategy.
Just never fails. Every single weekend.
I know. It really doesn't. I don't understand it. I don't know how they don't get somebody in that focuses on communication and all that stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I don't know.
Who's the guy that makes that decision at the end of the day? And that's what one of the announcers was saying. Like, if I'm Lewis, I'm just driving into the pit lane. Like, give me tires. They got them right. Just drive in there, and they will give you tires. You can make that decision on your own.
Call it in. Give them a few corners. I'm coming in.
Yeah.
I want this tire.
Or if George is coming, I'm coming.
Yeah. So get ready. Get out of your chair and put your helmet on.
Yeah.
Put your gloves on.
Hamilton's like on the radio telling everybody what to do. All right, everybody, put your helmets on, put your gloves on. I know you can hear me.
Get the medium tires and don't mess it up.
Don't listen to the pit wall. Listen to me.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now. Yeah, he's gonna just take control.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is on Fred. He's got to get control of what's going on. You're the team principal, dude. Figure it out. This is a message to Fred. Figure it out.
Yeah. We want Ferrari to be good. Like, quit doing this to us.
Yeah, for our good friend Trent's sanity.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Oh, Trent just has to be like... They're right there. I mean, he's got to be so excited at the beginning of that race, and then just it's coming, and they do it again, and he's got to be sitting there just.
It was the first text that came through after the lights went out was him.
Yeah.
What did he say? Hold on, we'll find it. 2 seconds,
he was excited.
Everybody. So excited that Ferrari pulled out right at the beginning. He was absolutely pumped. Oh, he said, "Holy shit." That was the first thing that he said immediately.
He's probably up walking around his house. Like, look at this. We're right at the top.
Yeah. And then no more than about 27 minutes later, we got a text that said, "Well, we're effed as a Ferrari fan." So that's how quickly things disintegrated. on
that poor guy. And then I gave him the
old, hey.
They do it to themselves.
Yeah,
come
they
on.
really do.
Like this can mean good and it can mean bad. It goes both ways. Sometimes maybe shit.
Poor Ferrari. Well, I think they'll get it together. We have another race coming up here shortly. On the schedule, next race is the Formula One Heineken Chinese Grand Prix 2026. So that'll be fun. That's March 12th. That's next weekend. We got free practice 1 happening 11:30 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. I should say in the Eastern time zone, as both of us are. We're not both on the East Coast, but we are on the Eastern time zone. So anybody checking in, we got free practice 1 starting 11:30. We have a sprint race next weekend as well. So immediately, March 13th, sprint qualifying. If you can stay up, 3:30 a.m. to 4:14 a.m. is the scheduled time for that. So we'll be watching that in the morning, most likely. March 13th, we have the sprint as well, starting at 11 p.m. So we'll have that, and then immediately race qualifying after at 3 a.m. And then March 15th, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., we have the Chinese Grand Prix. So that's going to be an interesting weekend. I assume it's not an assumption. Both of us will be watching that in the morning, first thing, nice cup of coffee, maybe a little breakfast sandwich, maybe a little bagel, cream cheese, because I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. to watch that. So,
or we both just go to bed at 7 p.m. Saturday night. Wake up at 2.
7 p.m. is like lunchtime for me.
Yeah.
I'd have a better chance of staying up until 3 than going to bed at 7 p.m.
Yeah, it'll be a on-demand weekend.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I might catch the sprint race on March 13th, whatever day that is. What day is that? That is Friday, 11 p.m. Might catch a sprint race, so that'll be good. But yeah, qualifying and race at 3 a.m. is crazy talk. So a little bit of a rundown for the weekend next weekend. What to look for next weekend, Jake? What do we got? We got any different than this weekend? You think things will change any for Ferrari or for Mercedes or even Red Bull?
I think it'll be a lot of the same. I think there'll be the same amount of chaos, same amount of DNFs. Just people shaking stuff out. Obviously, that long backstretch it's not even really the backstretch. It's kind of coming close to the front stretch, but that long straight where we are going to see these guys absolutely lose their mind inside the car. Like, it's just going to be, it's like driving, and then you hit the rev limiter and you got to go another 2 miles where you're just, and actually you're slowing down. It's just going to be, annoying.
It'll be very interesting, and it'll be something to look at, in those practice sessions. But you got one session before sprint quali. You got one session to figure it out. Everybody's going to be running different simulations to figure out what to do on that backstretch. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that they are going to deploy the battery late, as you mentioned. In my mind, right now, sitting here, not in a Formula One car in a basement, and have never driven a Formula One car, my mind says, let the engine do the work at the beginning as much as it can, and then hit that and speed up to the end, and let the brakes do a little bit of the work at the end.
Yeah.
Slowing the
car
down.
Or the engine brake.
Yeah, or that. In my mind, that is.
So otherwise, they'll be like a third of the way through the straight and lose all their battery, and then it's just downhill.
Right. Yeah, so it'll be very interesting. The back straight at the Chinese Grand Prix is 1.2 kilometers. So a little bit under a mile long that they're gonna have to keep that up.
Oh yeah, I think it's got to be the longest straight other than Spa, but yeah, it's just gonna be that'll be fun to see what actually happens there. I mean, this car is gonna be fun at tracks like Monaco. It's like a little go-kart. It's gonna be fun at a lot of these, smaller tracks, the street tracks. Kind of like what we just saw there. I think this will be a better season. But if Mercedes just goes out, takes every weekend, it's not going to be fun. George is going to be a mess of confidence. Like, he's already got so much of it. It's going to be overboard.
It's going to be so bad. There's going to be so many poses against the wall.
I can't believe he didn't do that.
And hair whipping. A lot of glasses. Probably big glasses. Oh, yeah. God.
Checking the watch.
Yeah, constantly. Checking the $250,000 AP on his wrist. I don't know what he wears.
Just touching his face so he can put the watch out there. You know, I saw a thing about that, how all these F1 drivers have the watch sponsors and they just touch their face so they can put the watch in there.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's so true. It's exactly like every photo you see of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, fixing his cuff just so he can show what's on his wrist. Yeah, every photo you see of him, he's fixing his cuff link on his shirt. Every single
And he gets $10,000 every time.
Yeah, bam, $10,000. It's like the guy. Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Oh, yeah.
The person that says brought to you by Carl's Jr. because he gets like money every single time he says it. That's what that is. Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Yeah, we need to get a watch sponsor.
Yeah, totally. Anybody out there that wants to do a watch sponsorship, we are totally down. I would love Omega. Omega, if you want to get in on this, that's my favorite watch. Please let us know. We'll be happy to scratch our face and mess with our hair a lot. One final thought before we go. I do want to say something that I love is that the cars look phenomenal on the track.
Yeah.
They look so good. They're small. They're just the liveries this year are great. I like a lot of them. They look really good out there. The one that I saw in particular, and I know it's kind of the two that I liked in particular that really didn't change much at all, were the McLaren. It just looks so sharp, and the Red Bull. That color change that they made with that little bit lighter blue, man, they look so good, even when they're on fire or crashing in Q1. So
still look good.
Still look good. Look good, feel good, race good.
Yeah,
right.
I think I liked they all look good. They look like they have, a little more control, a little more less weight under them, so it should be fun.
Yep. Super compact, getting back to, like you said, that go-kart style, not as big. Nobody wants those big boats driving around, like driving around in an old 80s Cadillac. You don't want that. The Cadillac was a boat anyway. They were very, very slow.
Very slow.
3
lap. Perez was 3 laps down.
Yeah, bad. But hopefully they got a lot of info for a new team like that. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Any other takeaways, Jake, before we close this thing out?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I was impressed. I thought that I was going to be not very happy, but it was a good race, and I had fun. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening. Even through the practicing and qualifying, there's drama. Sometimes it's not good. You don't want Max having a computer glitch into the wall. I don't think that's good for the sport, but it's just, something for us to look at, and hopefully they fix those things. And, towards the end of the year, all the racing gets pretty tight. And that's what we want.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out. A lot of time, a lot of really smart people working on these things, a lot of people that are paid a lot of money to do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we'll see as things go. Great race, great pod. We'll get this out, and we'll see everybody next week. Anybody that's checking in, yeah, we'll see you for the Chinese Grand Prix.